I know, just when we start. All right, I have a feeling everything I'm going to say is going to sound corny, but I believe it, so I got to say it. Let's talk about where this started. I received a deck of scripts, and it was accompanied by an email, and part of the note said, we're going to make 2 of the 3 scripts. So I started looking at them, and I looked at the first one and it was good. And I looked at the second one and that one was good. So lucky me. And then, you know, just because I was curious, what are they not going to make? So I turned to the final page in the deck and saw an image that I have never seen before. And it floored me. And it dropped my jaw. And that's what made me immediately hop on the phone with everyone. And what I said was, why don't you want to make the 3rd script, which was the Motaur? And everyone said, no, we love it, but maybe people didn't have as much heart for it, so we were thinking the other 2. And I said, well, let's talk about the Motaur instead. And we kept on going back and forth about it, and I kept talking about what excited me so much about it. And in the end, what I said was, maybe, as much as I'd like to shoot the first 2 scripts, find someone else to do those, because they would kill to do them, because they're good. And instead, let me go away for a little bit and write a treatment that reopens the discussion of this brilliant thing that I think you guys have thought of. And it was no different to me than being in an agency and being in the war room, that giant conference room where you're putting up ideas in the middle of a new business pitch. And you're plastering the walls and everyone thinks they've got great stuff. And then someone who hasn't seen anything comes in, maybe the ECD, maybe the CCO, who knows? And they're looking at all the work, and it's good, and it's good, and it's good. And then they find something in the corner about this big, and it could just be a couple of words or an image, and they point at it and say, no, that's the idea, that's the campaign. That's what this felt like to me. And it doesn't always feel like that to me. So that's what I went away and thought about. And more than anything, the aspect of the idea that grabbed me and wouldn't let go was this. It's not the kind of idea that a motorcycle company can do, simply based on what they make and what they manufacture, the product itself, because they would never adjust their product to make a half human, half bike. Honda would never do that, and they're not supposed to do that. And BMW can't do that, and Ducati can't. No one can do it. What caught me off guard was, in one move, this idea, in its way, could potentially allow Progressive to take a step ahead of all the motorcycle companies and show that they might have more insight than any of the companies that are in business to have insight with motorcycle enthusiasts. And it was like a drug. I couldn't let go of that. So this had very little to do with a single joke or a single script or how cool this thing looked. It was more about strategically the potential for a company to show their demographic that they may have more insight into them than the companies that make motorcycles for them. And I just thought that was so unusual. And I think the insight is understanding the mindset of someone who longs to be out on the road and would prefer to be out on the road for their life. And that's all the Motaur is, right? Just a visual symbol of that spirit, of what it's like to want to spend as much of your free time on the road. That's the fun of this campaign. So it appears everyone else now feels that way. Lucky us. And that's what we're trying to make. And now that we're making it, we're trying to approach everything a little differently. Not to be different, just to capture the idea of what the Motaur symbolizes. The spots are a bit more spare. There's not a lot of extras in them. There's not a lot going on in the backgrounds. Even the pacing of it is a little slower. Not to be less funny or less entertaining, it just takes its time, which is very rare in commercials and very lucky. But they're purposely written that way. And the reason is, maybe in our own way, we're capturing what happens when you go on the road. Everything slows down a little bit and things kind of disappear and you fall into your own special world. And if we get lucky, hopefully that's what we're making now. Something like that.